Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live interview session here at the Pame Code Facebook group's Season of Courage. I'm Emmy, your host, and today we have a very special guest. She's a Reiki Master Teacher and Energy Transformation Coach. She's the founder of the Pure Energy for You, and she's here to talk to us about the three C's of courage. I'm sure this is another inspirational session, and I'm sure we will learn so much from her. So, without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Cynthia Zeki. Hello,
Thank you.
Cynthia. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, Season of Courage. So, what does courage mean to you?
Courage means to me that you show up as yourself all the time, no matter what else is going on. So you can
Oh, no.
For everyone else and yourself.
Awesome. And is courage something that is important? Is it, why do we need courage?
We need courage because we grow and we change throughout life. And we need courage to be able to stand strong when others have expectations of us that may or may not fit with the way that we've changed in life. So for example, if you get a new job and the people in your old job or your family thinks it wasn't a good move, you need courage to be able to stay in your truth about it and be able to still keep those relationships going. I think as long as you're changing and growing, you need to have courage.
Right. So there's a lot of, in life, this happens in life, and we've been having this conversation with other, there's change in life, and you have to be courageous to face this change. Have you ever been in a position where you had to be courageous in life?
Yeah, all the time, right? Life requires courage. But one thing that I was thinking about is, as you know, I have my Ph.D. and I worked hard to get my Ph.D. I moved to Chicago to take a job at a university here, and I moved. Me and my daughter, she was just 5 or 6 at the time. I didn't know anybody at all, but I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for me. I was hired as a professor, and I got that job over. I think there were over 100 applicants. So I moved her and me completely by myself to a city I'd never lived in before, and I didn't know anyone. So that took courage. But then what took even more courage was after 7 years of having that life, thinking, I can't do this anymore. And I had lived all my life in academia. And so going from being a professor, I became a massage therapist, but making that huge career change and lifestyle change and even identity change took huge courage, because a lot of people didn't understand it. They would say, oh, you have your PhD. And I said, well, I get to keep that. They don't, I don't have to give that back if I'm not a professor anymore. But a lot of people thought I was crazy. But you know what? Once I left, I never looked back. And I love the life I lead now. I'm happier and I'm healthier and I'm calmer. And so it was the right decision.
So it's really standing up to your decisions as well, even if everybody thinks, oh, that's a really crazy move. What on earth are you doing? That's stupid. You're throwing everything away. So how did you confront that? Because it does take a lot of courage to, to stand to your beliefs and, stand by your decision.
I think one of the biggest motivators for me at that time was my daughter. She was young, and I wanted her to see me as someone who was strong and someone who followed their own dreams and didn't follow what everybody else thought was right. And that was important. And besides my health, if you're in an unhappy place, it doesn't just affect your mind, it affects your body, it affects everything about you. I was unhappy, I was unhealthy, and I didn't want to live that life anymore.
And you made that decision, and you were courageous enough to take that step.
Yes.
Even if were you scared at all?
Of course I was scared. I was going from I can't say that I was extremely well paid, but I had a steady paycheck, and I was going from that to it was a big leap of faith to nothing. I became a massage therapist, and I had my own practice. And that was huge. It was huge. It was hard and it was huge. But I just felt it was something I wanted to do. I was taking really good care of myself at that time. I was practicing Buddhism. I was meditating. I was working out, and I just thought that that was a really nice fit for living a healthy lifestyle. And so I wanted to model that not only for myself or for my daughter, but for my daughter as well. So while it was courageous, I had taken steps to make sure that it would, or it would hopefully work. You know, courage always requires a little bit of faith or a lot of bit of faith, right? But I had a very successful massage practice for many years, so it worked.
And you never look back.
Never look back. I still don't look back. I'm still thinking, oh my God, thank heavens I'm not doing that anymore.
Wow, that's really exciting. Actually, that's really inspiring. But you did mention courage, and in the title of your interview today, the 3 C's of courage. What does that mean?
Okay. When I think of courage, of course, you first go to fear, right? You need courage to overcome fear. And so, what is fear? Well, to me, fear is as a reaction. It's a reaction we have in our brain. It's a reaction we have in our body that that sets us outside of ourselves in a way. So for me, the three parts of courage is calm, clarity, and confidence. What do I mean by calm? If you find yourself going off into that brain hurricane of fear, the first thing to do is take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is mine to do? Because too often we go way further than that. Well, what if they don't like me? What if this works? What if this happens? And you have to stop that immediately. And you take a baby step and you take a deep breath and you say, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? And asking yourself that, getting out of your fear state is a huge step. Taking a couple deep breaths, asking yourself that question, and then that can restore a state of calm. And then after that, you go to clarity. After you say, okay, I know that question. What is mine to do? And then you can say, oh, I've taken this action before. I've done this before. I can do it. If you're afraid to go, if you're afraid to talk, if you're as a teacher, for example, if you're afraid to get up in front of a class, you can say, oh, I've done this before. I've practiced it. I can do this. Or if you haven't done it before, you can say, you know what? I prepared for it. I prepared for it. I'm ready to do it. So that gives you clarity. I know what steps I need to do in order to have courage. And then the next step is, of course, confidence, right? I know I can do this. I'm prepared. I've done everything possible. I have faith in myself. I have faith in my higher power to just go ahead and do it. And that's pretty much the steps I took when I decided not to be a professor anymore. You know, I was so miserable, and this tenure was coming closer and closer. It was like, oh my gosh, I have this huge decision to make, and I was living in fear. I was giving myself ulcers. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was so worried how I was going to provide for me or my daughter. And then I stopped and I got some clarity. Well, what is mine to do? What can I do about this? I can do 2 things. I can either stand for tenure and be miserable, or I could do something else. Well, what is it that I can do? And I made a list of what was important to me, and it became very clear that massage therapy would be something, would be a good fit. And so I took classes. I became certified in a couple different modalities of massage therapy. This was the year before, if you don't stand for tenure, they give you a year to prepare, right, or to look for another job. And so I took that year to absolutely prepare myself to start fresh when I was done. And because I had done all that preparation, of course there's still a little bit of fear, but I had the confidence that I would be successful, and I was. And so first of all, establishing calm, stopping that, staying in the present and stopping that what if, which is not real, right? That's just your imagination. And staying calm with it, staying present with it, and making plans is how you can get courage, I think.
That's really interesting because for some people, yes, calm, clarity, and confidence, you have all these ingredients, but for some people, even calm, the first step, they find it difficult. How do you promote a sense of calm? If you're in the midst of all these irrational thinking and all these fears swirling in your head, how do you start with that?
I think the first thing to do is ask yourself, what baby step can I do? What baby step can I do? And I think that makes a big difference because everybody can take a baby step. You know, when you have all that hysteria going on, you're frozen. And when you're frozen, you stay in that place. So your baby step can be something as much as going outside for a walk, right? Or just taking several deep breaths, listening to some calming music, or say, what one thing can I do? One little thing can I do to calm myself down? I know that space. I spent at least a year worrying about what I was going to do before I decided not to stand for tenure. And that's when I started, what can I do before that decision is made? I started to make sure that I was eating well. I made sure that I worked out like a fiend. I've never worked out so much, probably never will again, but I was in great shape, and that was just such a nice release. I scheduled time. I scheduled my life a lot. I scheduled time where it was just me and my daughter playing, and I would tell myself, this was one trick that I still use today. Okay, I scheduled a worry time or a pity party time, like at the end of the week on Friday. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm giving myself an hour on Friday to worry about everything that I have to worry about. And so I would literally push that out of my head so I could be present with where I was, because fear is never present. Fear is always in the future. It's never with what you have right here, right now.
Right. So, you don't have to tackle all your problems at the same time. You just need to take one baby step, just little tiny steps at a time, and it helps you to calm down. Because it's not
Absolutely.
a huge task. It's just one at a time, one at a time.
One at a time, one at a time. And I think a lot of fear is when you don't have clarity, when you're not sure what to do. It's when you're waiting to make a decision, or you're waiting for a decision to be made, or you're waiting for something to happen. The more you can make those baby steps up to that point, pretty soon you've solved that problem, and you're not even aware of it, because it's a baby step, a baby step, a baby step. It took me a year to leave my job. It took me a year, and that was great. I didn't just all decide on the spur of the moment that I'm not going to do this. I did preparation beforehand, and I still had some fear around that. Of course I did, but I was prepared, which gave me confidence.
Right. So that in your case, it all followed through. You were calm, and the calmness helped you to get clarity. And because you were clear and you were prepared and you were taking those little baby steps, that gave you confidence to pursue what you needed to pursue. But for some people, yes, they are calm, they are clear, but sometimes confidence doesn't come. Why is that?
Confidence is something that you have to develop in yourself. Confidence is not something that anybody else can give you. And so I think one way I built my confidence was paying attention to what my skills were, what I was good at, because that's something that it's so hard for us to tell ourselves, right? And so when I was in the process of this, it sounds really silly, but I would leave messages for myself on my phone. I would say, "Hey, gorgeous, how's your day going? Hey, I'm so proud of you for doing this today." Or, "You know what? That was an awesome dinner you made for you and Jasmine when you were so tired last night." So it's not even just affirmations. It's telling yourself all the good stuff that you do, which helps build confidence in yourself, because no one else can give you confidence. You have to give that to yourself.
And you're building that.
Absolutely. And you do it constantly, right? You give yourself a pep talk. My dad used to say, "Attaboy, Dave," to himself. And whenever he did something good. And I love that. So I'll say to myself, "Attagirl, Cynthia," just to keep that up and going.
Right. That's really good. In my books, I actually encourage readers to keep a catalog of wins. So whenever you achieve something, you keep a diary, even if it's just a little reminder that you've accomplished this. So when you have these doubting moments, you have something to look at. It's like, oh look, oh yeah, I've done that, and it helps to build your confidence, especially in those really low points.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Awesome. So that's it really. The three C's of courage. It's calm, clarity, and confidence. You need to be calm. When fear strikes, just stay calm. You would say take deep breaths.
Uh-huh.
Take one baby step at a time. You don't have to carry everything and solve everything at the same time. And when you're calm, you'll gain clarity, And as you continue moving on, then you'll build the confidence in the long run.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, Cynthia, if people want to know more about you or what you do, where can they find more information?
They can go to my website, www.cynthiazeki.com, or find me on Facebook at I'm Cynthia Zeki, Ph.D. RMT.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. That was a really interesting story. I have a lot of little nuggets to pick from there, and especially, in my situation right now, a lot of insight that I can pick up from that. And I hope that, the people watching us right now will find inspiration and, some insights from your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.